Good afternoon. My name is Kirkpatrick Tyler, and I serve as the pastor here at the beautiful Mighty St. Mark AME Church in Los Angeles. In addition to that, I also serve as the director for Skid Row Strategy for the City of Los Angeles' Mayor's Office of City Homeless Initiatives. For the past 12 years, I've dedicated my professional life as well as my time in ministry to the service of our sisters and brothers experiencing homelessness. What you may not realize as a faith leader, as a pastor, or as a lay leader at your local congregation is that you hold one of the major keys to serving and ending homelessness wherever you may be. Whether you're in a large city like Los Angeles or a small town, that your congregation has a power to be a major partner in the fight to end homelessness. I say that for three reasons. The first is that a faith-based organization, a church, is a place that many people who will never go into our public service organizations or never go into a shelter will come to a church on the weekends, will come to a church for Sunday service, will even come to one of our many benevolent services like our clothing closets or our feeding programs. And so oftentimes we may be the only way that folks can get connected to sustainable help and resources to help get their lives back on track and to become stably housed. The second reason is because as faith-based partners and congregations, we are one of the largest property holders in the country. That takes place because sometimes we have property that has not been used where there's no land. Maybe you're using it as a parking lot. Maybe you use it when you want to have outdoor worship services. But what if I told you that that even could be a resource in the fight to end homelessness? I grew up at a time when churches had parsonages, places where the pastor would live that were in the local community. But I realize that now, while the parsonage culture is no longer a thing, that many churches have unused housing, apartments, single-family homes, units that could be used to provide housing for some of our homeless neighbors. The third thing is that we have a voice for advocacy that allows us to speak up and speak out on behalf of those who cannot speak up and out for themselves. Alongside from that, it's the right thing to do. Scripture also compels us and implores us to be in service to the least of these, to be in service to our neighbors who are in need, to take care of those who do not have. I want to encourage you to do three things as you are considering getting involved and being of service to our homeless community. The first thing I want to ask you to do is to take a discernment approach with your congregation. Look at what your resources are. Talk to the leaders and the members in your congregation to find out what they're passionate about. And then look at the need for the homeless community that's in your area. It might not be big like the challenges that we face in Skid Row, but there may be a small encampment. There may be a shelter in your neighborhood. There may be just a few homeless individuals or families that are around that your congregation will make the difference in helping. The discernment process is important because it allows us to take our big ideas and turn them into action. The discernment process is important because it allows our leaders and our members to talk about and to be heard on how they'd like to get involved in the fight to end homelessness. And the discernment process is important because it allows us to be very clear on understanding what we're able to do. After you go through that discernment process, I want to encourage you to take an assessment. Take an assessment of the resources that you have, what ministries you're providing, if you do in fact have property that can be used for shelter or permanent housing or to provide services, and then look at the resources that you have within your congregation. Oftentimes, we have people that have the expertise, that have the passion, that have the relationships, and that have the funding that can allow us to be great partners in the fight to end homelessness. The third thing I want you to do is to reach out. Too many times we don't do as much as we can because we feel like the weight of the work is going to be too heavy. But just like God provides in other spaces, God provides in the fight to end homelessness. And so what that looks like is figuring out if there are any shelters or homeless service projects that are in your community already, that rather than you having to start your own project, that you would be able to go and support the work and the ministry that's already happening. understand and learn about the homeless service culture. For example, here in Los Angeles, we have the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority and the Homeless Continuum of Care. Those are the organizations and structures that are developed inside of Los Angeles County that direct the funding, the programming, and the resources to help end homelessness. This exists in every single city in the United States. And connecting to that not only will help you to navigate homeless services better, but can connect you to adequate and necessary resources to engage in this fight. The third thing that I want you to do is talk to your sisters and brothers who might be experiencing homelessness. Interesting enough, that happens more often than you may believe. Homelessness is not just something that happens to people that are on drugs. It's not just something that happens to people who make mistakes. It's not just something that happens to poor people. Believe it or not, you might have a person experiencing homelessness inside of your congregation. Believe it or not, homelessness is often much closer than we believe. There are some people who are in our congregation that may be only a paycheck away or a bad experience away from being homeless. In addition, some of the larger populations of homeless people include young people who have aged out of the foster care system, women and families who are escaping abusive living situations, veterans who have went away and dedicated their lives to serving in the armed forces and when they came home did not have stable living, men and women who are struggling with mental health challenges, and our seniors. Homelessness doesn't look just one way. It doesn't match just one person. It's not something that you can look around and point out and say that person is homeless or there goes a homeless individual. And because of that, we also have to be equally as nuanced, compassionate, and reflective when we engage and think about the work of serving our homeless neighbors. I just wanted to take this moment to encourage you, to let you know that you have the power and the responsibility to help our sisters and brothers who are experiencing homelessness. This work is a work that will not be done and a battle we will not win unless we all dig in together. And so again, I want to ask you to go and do the discernment process. Figure out inside of your congregation what you're passionate about doing, what you're able to do, and what resources you have. I want you to go and reach out to those agencies and organizations as well as the municipal structures in your community to find out what work is done. And then I want you to assess the resources that you have to figure out what you're able to do. Homelessness is one of the major plagues that we fight every single day and has a tremendous impact on our sisters and brothers that are unhoused. But we are not without the resources, we are not without the intelligence, and we are not without the time to make a difference. And so I want to encourage you from here in the city of Los Angeles and from the mighty St. Mark AME Church, a place where we love to be of service and help our sisters and brothers. We even partner regularly with our community service partners who work in homelessness, and we want to encourage you to do the same because we can't win this battle without you. I love you, God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you on the battlefield to end homelessness. Thanks.